court, and the matter is in court. That's why it is.
You are accused of practicing judicial activism.
Does anybody know what activism means? You should ask those people who are mouthing those words to explain exactly what it means. Because I get the impression that there's so much ignorance out there about what is judicial activism. The Constitution itself is activist.
Okay. David, let me come to you, because you've had this look of perpetual confusion since we started the show.
Which is good. It reflects what's going on in the country.
Really?
Country's on my face.
Yeah. What do you think about what we've heard so far from the Chief Justice? Because we've talked about the separation of powers, and we keep coming back to it. He's acknowledged, to put it in your words, that he presides over a corrupt judiciary. What do you make of what we've heard?
Well, I think for me, I'm not yet convinced by this Chief Justice in his explanation or response to the attacks, which have had the effect of undermining the credibility of the judiciary, the image of the judiciary as new, fresh, independent, and authoritative in its actions, because the politicians are saying we'll obey the ones we think are not idiotic or unconstitutional. They are the ones who will not. So that kind of statement really, from as a member of the public or citizens listening in, is clearly a dig at the authority and institution of the judiciary. I have his defense of it seems to be a little, I would say weak.
Why are you assuming that the Kenyan public is so idiotic that you can't see
you like that word, idiotic, don't you?
No, I don't like it. You are the ones who are using it.
Because you used it, actually.
I've never used that word.
Before David responds to your question, can I just get Mutegi's opinion on what we've heard so far? Separation of powers, corruption, capacity of the judiciary.
I think the Chief Justice is being nice. His attackers are violent, but he himself doesn't want to unleash.
He's being restrained.
He's being restrained. He's restraining himself. I think his opinion is these fellows, they know they are wrong. So why should I argue with them? Like there is a picture in the wall which says, "Never argue with a fool." The people will not know the difference. I think that's his attitude.
David doesn't agree.
Well, that is, I think Mutegi explains his perspective. His interpretation of his response is I think, is correct. I don't think that in my view, that should be the appropriate response to these attacks.
It should not be.
I think the defense of the judiciary needs to be robust to establish its place in the minds of the people and confidence in that institution. And also, there is emerging that which I would like him to respond to, the interpretation by the Speaker of the National Assembly that the legislature is the representative or embodiment of the sovereignty of the people. Quite contrary to what other people think, that look, these three arms are equal. So where is the place of the judiciary? Is it really equal, or the legislature is the first among equals?
Well, the correct word is we are all co-equals.
Co-equals.
Yeah. And we've got to go back to the Constitution. The Speaker might have his own interpretation on the supremacy. But if the three arms have different interpretations on supremacy, who resolves that issue under the Constitution?
The Supreme Court.
It's the courts that resolve them. And that is the crux of the matter. We should, as a country, realize that we are going to have differing opinions on the interpretation of the Constitution. We're going to have disputes, but we must accept that it's the courts that have a final word, and that final word, becomes law. That's the ABC of it. Okay, that's what it is. if you look at the Constitution, judicial authority is derived from the people, executive authority is derived from the people, and parliamentary authority. And if you look at the Constitution, every institution has its own mandate.
In your view, are there any orders that have been given to the Parliament or Senate or National Assembly that are trying to stifle them from doing what they're supposed to do? That they were interfering with their movement, that once they are seized of something, that they've decided to do something, some orders have been given that are supposed to stop them from doing the business?
I don't know. I don't know. All I've said as a Chief Justice is to say political disputes are important in this country, right? And if they get to court, they have to be heard as quickly as possible, and that's what is happening. The moment they are filed, they are always filed under certificate of urgency, and somebody sits and hears them as quickly as possible because they are important.
Going back to David's point about restoring credibility and authority, you respond to Mutegi's question by saying you don't know. Do you mean you don't know as in you're ignorant of what's taking place? Well, or you don't know because listening to you, one gets the feeling that it's not quite, you're not quite on top of things.
David is giving his own opinion. I don't know how scientific it is. Okay, I don't believe that Kenyans are believing in the interpretation that is coming out there. And that's why...
The thing is, if we look at the feedback that comes through, people are saying, in fact, they're agreeing with the politicians. And that is going to encourage people, is going to lower the respect of the courts in the minds of the people. If the courts are insulted by leaders, and people take cue from the politicians, and they have persuasive influence. And if you look at the feedback, people are agreeing with them that, in fact, those courts are interfering, those orders are, in fact, idiotic, that kind of thing.
Well,
that's not a healthy thing for the judiciary, isn't it?
But David, let people express those views. You know, I think it's healthy if there is, you know, critique. The only way we can deal with it is when we administer justice. It's not, we've got to speak through decisions, through the way we deal with people, the way we administer justice, because if we go into that course of basically responding to every attack, you know, on the judiciary, we won't do anything else, I can tell you. And it might be that's probably the project of just making us not do what you're supposed to do because we're constantly under attack and so forth.
So you're under attack.
The other thing, you know, verbal attack, and there are people who are defending us and so forth. If you are defended by the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution, by the Law Society, by church people, by everybody, well, you know, that's also good enough.
Have you had a conversation with the judges about these attacks? That's what I'm concerned. I'm interested to know whether there are any conversations going on about these attacks on the bench.
Of course there are. We even have, we're going to have a discussion with the leadership on the 14th of March. But it's also about, it's not just about the attacks, it's also about them getting that feedback, you know, that this is what the politicians feel. It's important. It's very, very important for the judiciary also not to be very defensive. Okay, to get once in a while, people are saying, this is what is happening, and I'll tell them I was on Cheche, and David McCarthy told me that the politicians, whatever they are saying, people are buying into it and so forth.
Actually, we'll come back to that.
You know, so I think we are a learning institution as well, and I sometimes in terms of tactics it's not always good to respond or to be defensive, because you can also prove your worth through, you know, doing a good job and, you know, and getting people to support you.
Okay, we'll take a break now. This is Cheche live on Citizen TV. Our guest this morning is the Chief Justice, Willy Mutunga. We'll see you and hear from you after the break.